Hello, in this video we investigate the following problem on the topic of absolute value. Write the expression a equals to x plus 2 times absolute value of x minus 1 minus x minus 1 times absolute value of x plus 2 without using the absolute value sign. Pause the video at this point and give it a try. On the next slide, I will show you the final answer to the problem. If you do your calculations correctly, the final answer to the problem is a equals to 0 if x is less than minus 2. It is equal to 4 minus 2x minus 2x squared if minus 2 is less than or equal to x and it is less than 1. And finally, it is again 0 if x is greater than or equal to 1. If this is not the final answer you got, pause the video again and give it a second try. Okay, as we learned during the lesson, in order to remove the absolute value sign, we have to be certain about the sign, positiveness or negativeness of the whole expression inside the absolute value. On the other hand, we know that here x is a number from real numbers, and it might be any number. So there is no guarantee that x minus 1 is positive or negative. The same is true for x plus 2. So this means that we have to consider all possible cases. For example, one way to think about the problem, let us consider this to be the set of real numbers, for example, and here is 0. Okay, for the first one, number 1 is important, because the root of this expression, x minus 1 equals to 0, gives me x equals to 1. Okay, so if this is 1, this means that if I choose x greater than 1, then expression x minus 1 becomes positive, and if I choose x less than 1, the expression x minus 1 becomes negative, and of course at x equals to 1, the expression becomes 0, and we know the absolute value of 0 is 0 itself. But the problem is that for this expression, another number matters. What is that number? X plus 2 equals to 0, so this means that x is equal to minus 2. So where is minus 2? For example, is here. It's minus 1 and minus 2. Again, if x is greater than minus 2, then what happens? X plus 2 becomes positive. But if x is less than minus 2, this expression becomes negative. But I have to consider these two scenarios simultaneously. So this means that I have to, at least in my mind, partition the real numbers to 3 regions. One region less than minus 2, one region between minus 1 and 2, and one region greater than 1. For example, we can do that either in our head, if we are in a hurry, or we can do it properly by, for example, drawing a table. So what we do, for example, we can do this. I would write here x. X could in principle be any number from minus infinity to infinity, but two numbers are important for me. One of them is minus 2, the other one is 1, and I can write the expressions that matter. They are inside the absolute value. For example, the first one is x minus 1, and the second one is x plus 2. Okay, and then I can draw these vertical lines. Okay, now let us see what happens. X minus 1 is 0 exactly at x equals to 1, so I put 0 here. But if I choose x, any number less than 1, this expression becomes negative. So this means this expression is negative here, this expression is negative here, but as soon as I choose a number greater than 1, the expression becomes positive. For the second expression, this is 0. This is the root of x plus 2. If I choose a number less than minus 2 for x, then this becomes negative. But if I choose a number greater than minus 2, this expression becomes positive. Okay, so let us now consider 3 scenarios. What happens if x is less than minus 2? If x is less than minus 2, it means that I am here. Both these expressions are negative. Am I allowed to remove the absolute value sign in both cases? The answer is positive. But the price that I have to pay is to put an extra minus sign. Why is that? Because of the definition of absolute value. So absolute value of any expression inside the box is equal to, it is the box itself by the definition. If what is inside the box is greater than or equal to 0, and it is negative of what is in the box if the box is certainly negative. Okay, so when I choose x less than minus 2, I am certain that x minus 1 is negative because I am here, and I am certain that x plus 2 is also negative. So I am allowed to remove the absolute value from here, and I am allowed to remove the absolute value here, but according to the second part, I have to put this extra minus sign there. Okay, so this means that, okay, let me change my color. So this means that, oh, sorry. This means that a is equal to, I copy and paste x plus 2 because that doesn't contain any absolute value. But for the second one, instead of absolute value of x minus 1, I write minus x minus 1. And then I have minus x minus 1. The first term is without absolute value, but this one can be written as minus x plus 2 because that one is also certainly negative. So it becomes minus x plus 2. So if I simplify this, so I have this expression which is minus x plus 2 times x minus 1, but the second one I have a minus sign here, a minus sign here. When multiplied it becomes positive, and it becomes x minus 1 times x plus 2. And of course you immediately realize this expression and that expression are identical. The first one is negative, the second one is positive, so the sum of them becomes 0. Okay, now I have to consider what happens if x is between minus 2 and 2. Okay, so if x is between between minus 2 and 1. Okay, but let me put equality here this time, because you see I didn't consider x equals to minus 2 itself. In principle, I have to consider all scenarios. So in order to make sure that I am considering every value for x, I put equality sign here. Okay, it doesn't matter because you know that x equals to minus 2, this expression becomes 0 and the absolute value of 0 is 0. Okay, so but what happens now? The expression a is equal to. Am I allowed to remove the first absolute value sign? Yes. Why? Because I am here, I am between minus 2 and 1, and the first expression is certainly negative. So I am allowed to remove this absolute value, but as before, the price is to put a minus sign. And if you don't mind, let me put the minus sign on the left-hand side of both expressions. Okay, what can I do with the next one? The next one is positive, so it means that I can just simply remove the absolute value and replace it by the pair of brackets. A pair of brackets. So it becomes x minus 1 times x plus 2. But this time you see that this expression and this expression are identical and both of them are negative. So I will write it as minus 2 x minus 1 x plus 2. And then if I simplify that, so it becomes minus 2 x squared plus x minus 2 by multiplying them. And if you don't mind, let me multiply the minus 2 in, so it becomes 4 minus 2x minus 2x squared. And finally, if x is greater than or equal to 1, because I need to consider what happens after 1, because I didn't consider x equal to 1 there, I will consider it here to make sure that I'm considering every possibility for x. So in that case, both the expressions are positive, so I can simply remove the absolute value signs and more or less do nothing, just put the expression inside the absolute values, and then you immediately see that I get two identical expressions, one positive, one negative. When I add them, it becomes 0. So if I want to simplify it, let me write it here. So if x is greater than minus 2, if x is greater, if x is less than -2, the answer is 0. If x is between 1 and -2, so it means that if x is somewhere here and here, the answer will be this expression, which is 4 minus 2x minus 2x squared. And then finally, if x is greater than 1, that's also 0. So that is the answer to the problem. So I hope the video was useful for you. Until the next video, be safe and goodbye. Thank you.